I'm Tracy Bingaman. I'm a full-time working mom of 5 who got sick, burned out, quit my job, and now I teach women how to mom smarter, not harder. The pressures of modern motherhood are intense. You're a busy working mom juggling all the balls and living in fear of dropping the exact wrong one. Here you'll find the tools you've been searching for to confidently prioritize your life and optimize your ability to rock all the hats that you choose to wear. I'll show you how to break through your limiting beliefs so you'll have more time and more money than you know what to do with. Because even in the busiest seasons of life, you can grow to master your money, own your time, and be the mom with all the margin. This is Fulfilled as a Mom. Welcome back to another episode of Fulfilled as a Mom. Today, I'm going to talk about being the main character in your own life. So I was recently on vacation. I love to read all the time, but when I was on vacation, I had a little more time to read than normal, and I had this moment. I was sitting on my parents' lake. They have this beach, which is not sandy. It's like a dirty, sandy beach, but this little part of the lake, and so it's shallow, so our kids can play in the water, but not be all the way swimming. So like splashing in the water, shooting these little like water guns, building a sand castle, which was really mostly dirt and a pile with like a little stick on top. But my mom and I are sitting there, we're reading. She's reading a book, I'm reading a book. And in the book that I'm reading, it has alternating characters. Like one chapter is the girl who hopelessly falls in love with the billionaire, and the other chapter is the billionaire's perspective. That's a kind of high quality literature I'm reading when I'm on vacation. So I'm reading and it's going back and forth, her side, his side, her side, from their perspective. And I got thinking about how each of us is the main character in our own story. And I think that sometimes when we have kids, they become so much of the focus that they become the main characters in our story. So the great thing about this life is that they get to be the main characters in their own story. And so they don't need to be the main and only focus of our story. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at my kids, I'm reading this book, I'm thinking about this main character thing, thinking about how I want to share it with you. And I look over at my mom. So my mom is someone who has always been the main character in her own story. And I don't know if that is a function of the timing with which she became a parent, who she is as a person. I think it's probably some combination of those things. So my mom is this awesome human. She had this great career as a chemical engineer and a systems engineer. She worked at a pulp and paper mill. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Maine. So she was in this big mill helping them to make paper. If she listens to this, she's going to be laughing like, that is not at all what I did. But in my young mind and still now, that's what she did. So she helped to run the chemical processes and the systems to make this paper. So my mom got hired right out of graduate school, long time ago. And the mill was like almost all men. And the other women that she had lunch with were like mostly secretaries. So these guys had never had a woman that was working with them on these big machines. And it definitely was never a woman who was above them working on these machines. She had to wear steel toe boots to work. She could never wear a dress because if you walk down the stairs, like in the plant, it was just like, was like a safety hazard. So she always wore pants. And my mom didn't take any crap from anyone at all, us or any of these guys at work. I'm glad that is changing and that there are more women in these fields. This was like a while ago. But my mom had all of these hobbies. So she had a full-time job. She's working as a chemical engineer. My dad is working first as a mechanic, then he's running his own business. And my mom, like, she played hockey first in the men's league and then got like checked really bad and decided to play in the women's league, but thought that they were slow. That bothered her. She used to play the French horn in high school. And then again, when I was like in middle school, took up the French horn. So she's playing in this like French horn band. She played in the orchestra for this local community theater. She was always playing tennis or water skiing. And she's super talented as like a quilter, and she was growing a garden, all of these things. And I thought this was normal. And I didn't have this childhood where my mom was like neglecting me to go play hockey. Like, I was fine. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but I was fine. I didn't miss her. I was at daycare. I don't know. I was at home with dad while she was like running around having all of these hobbies that she pursued. But so it was normal for me to see my mom doing things she loved. Like, I knew she was going to play tennis. I knew all of these things were happening. And at the time I didn't think much of it because it was just the norm for me. Busy working mom. I used to wear it like a badge of honor. Then I realized that I was drowning in to-dos and running around like a lunatic, all because this key piece was missing. I wasn't clear on what my deeply held values were. And when everything's important, nothing is important. Now that I've done the work and figured out what I value most, it makes life so much easier. Those core values serve as the compass for the direction of my life, and they inform my heck yes and my hell no responses to each and every opportunity. I've taken the process to curate core values and boiled it down into 3 simple steps. I've laid out the exact process to gain clarity so you can start applying your deeply held values to day-to-day life. To start living a purpose-driven life full of what you love and void of all that other shit, download your core value curator today. The link's waiting for you in the show notes. And now that I am a mom, now that I am sort of in my own story as a mom, as an adult, and I get to be the main character in my own story, sometimes I look at the calendar and I see no things on it for me. And I don't want to say like, oh, that sucks and I hate that my kids have karate and baseball and all these things that they are doing and enjoying. That's great. It's good for kids to have hobbies and things that they get to do, but those things shouldn't be happening instead of having things that I'm pursuing for myself. And the same is true for you. So you are the own main character in your story. And if you think about your life, like if we're lucky enough to live this long life until our kids grow and leave the house, and then we're adults without kids that are dependent on us, the season of life where our kids are from birth to 18 or birth to 22 or birth to 24, however long until they're off the payroll and out in the world, doing their thing, it's a relatively short season in the lifespan of the average person in the world. And if once your kids come along, it becomes all about them and they are the singular focus and they become the main characters in your story, you're missing out on this opportunity to show them what it means to be a fully functioning adult who has things that they love, who pursues their dreams, who wakes up every day in search of fulfillment and joy and happiness, yours, not theirs. So in doing so for yourself, you're teaching them how to go after that for themselves. So I was sitting there and I'm reading this book and my mom is sitting next to me. The kids are playing. I'm just really thankful for that example that she set. I think as a society, we've really gotten away from that. We have become very kid-centric and we feel like life happens up until we have kids and then again after they leave, but not in between, because you should be singularly focused on your kids' happiness and making sure they're doing the right extracurriculars and making sure their grades are just right. And I feel like we are entirely too involved in our kids' lives and not enough involved in our own. And it leaves us open to them leaving to do whatever it is that they are going to do and change and pursue in the world and feeling empty because it became all about our kids and it wasn't about us. And so if you're feeling like that, you don't need to stop taking your kids to extracurricular activities and ignore them altogether. Although sometimes it's tempting to do that, but that's not the best way to do this. The best way to do this is to start slowly incorporating things that you are doing for you. And it doesn't have to be like a girls' week trip to Napa. It can be like reading a book for 30 minutes before bed. This can be small things that you're doing where you're starting to infuse back into your life things that make you happy, things that you're doing just for yourself, things that you're doing for your relationship with your significant other or your friends, whether you're pursuing a hobby or just getting some downtime in your schedule where you're doing things that are social and fun for you. I'm not talking like talking to the moms at your kid's birthday party. I'm talking like going out with those moms without kids to do something fun on your own where you get to be yourself, because you are a standalone character who deserves to be fully developed, to have passions and joys and experiences and feelings all your own that aren't entirely dependent on your kids. It is so easy to get lost as a mom in this modern day. It's so easy to feel like it's all about them and they're only young for a minute, so you really want to be there and you want to be there for them. And I think that there is a way for you to do both. It's not all or nothing. It's not you're selfish and fulfilled or you're selfless and a great mom. There's this spectrum of things where you get to dial up your sense of fulfillment in life and you get to dial up things that you're doing for you, and you can dial back a little bit the focus on your kids, and they will still feel loved and they will still know that you are present and that you care about them. And probably you're going to show up better for your kids if you're showing up really well for yourself, and you're not going to be at a baseball game like, hating because you the day before took a run or read a book or just sat in blessed silence in your bedroom for 5 minutes before someone needed you. All of those things are worthy of your time, and you are worthy of as much, if not more, time and energy than right now you're focusing on everyone else in your life, because you are the own main character of your story. And my mom, she's such a great example of this. And she retired. And when she retired, I feel like sometimes people retire and they're like, what am I going to do with myself? I was working this job 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And then suddenly I stopped. And now what am I going to do with all this time? And I remember calling her. She had been retired for a couple of years, and I was newly married to Dan. The big boys were young. We were moving, and I was working full-time. Dan was working full-time, doing all of these things, taking the kids to Cub Scouts and all of this stuff. And I called her, and she was like, I'm so busy. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And she was like, I'm so busy. Dad and I have so many things going on. Oh, we're going out to dinner with this couple and we're playing pickleball and we're traveling and we're doing, and she wasn't complaining about this. They were all wonderful things that she wanted to do. She was like, I have this regatta for my remote control sailboat club. And I was just like, what is this life? But she was busy. And she was like as busy as if my sister and I were still at home and she was working and she was running us to sports and stuff. But she was busy with all of these things that she was passionate and excited about. And for her, this transition from working and focusing on us as kids to having this full social calendar, full life of hobbies and activities and things that she loved was pretty seamless, because her purpose wasn't singularly from parenting us, and it wasn't just from work. It was from who she was and what she enjoyed doing. And I feel like that's something that we can all aspire to. So whether your kid is like getting ready to leave, or you have 10 or 15 years until your youngest is out of the house like me, what can you do so that when they leave, or when you stop working, or when these things leave your life, that you already have been practicing to have a life that is fulfilled and full of hobbies and happiness. So that is my food for thought for you for the day. And the question that I want you to sort of mull over or answer on your own is, do you feel like you are the main character in your own life? And if you don't, what can you do to start shifting that? And what can you do to focus on your own growth and happiness and development so that you do feel like you are the main character of your own life, and your kids play a huge role in that story. And yes, they have changed you forever, and there's never any going back to life without them. But are you the main character? Are you fully developed? Are you using your skills and ability for your own good, for the good of the world, and for the good of your kids? So I hope that that was helpful to you. I hope it made you think about the way that you're showing up in your own story. And I really appreciate you being here and tuning in. I will see you next time on Fulfilled as a Mom. I'm doing a victory dance right now because you did it. You took the time to tune in, to reach for a better life, and to take care of you. Did our time together go by way too fast for anyone else? Head to fulfilledasamom.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's show. You now have the tools and knowledge to change your life. Go blaze your trail, take that step, make the shift, and do the work to create fulfillment in your life today.